Well, what's the good news?
You're live.
We're live? We're live for good news and everything?
Yep.
Okay, well, we are, a few of us are here. It's okay, it's okay. Those of us who are here and those of us who are watching over the airwaves, we're the ones that need to be here, I guess, right? Anybody need to be added to the prayer list? When I made the new list, I forgot Donald. We got him covered. All right.
The guy ultimately on there.
A lot of friends dying last week.
There we go.
Sad. You remember David Smith from the trailer over there? He died this week.
Oh, really?
Okay. I guess then we're just gonna do the meditation right now.
Let's do it.
So we relax right where we're at. This is so easy. This is so easy.
Peaceful too.
Just focus on the breath. No need to change it in any way. Unless we find that our breathing is too shallow. We just notice how it works. As we stay with the breath, we notice how it feels. God goes with us wherever we go. The presence of God goes with you wherever you go. This one idea will eventually overcome any sense of loneliness or abandonment. God was with me. Oh, the old whamboozle.
That's pretty much.
This is what we are doing to ourselves continually. This would mean a full lesson out of the workbook today. This is today's lesson. God goes with me wherever I go. This idea, if just to think that for every untrue thing that comes to our mind, when we realize it, if we just stopped and said, God goes with me wherever I go. Now, sometimes when we say that, we might think, man, I better straighten up my act. God's like right here, probably watching, judging, but that again is a left-handed Shangalang. Because God is not judging. God is seeing us as his perfect child. No matter what craziness that we've involved ourselves with. Our mind is one mind. Mind is one mind. One mind that we share. The Course in Miracles lesson that's coming up about mind rejoining. Even in this exercise of separation and deception, minds are still joined, just at a level that we're not consciously aware of. But we remember somewhere deep within us, we remember a time, from time to time, a time when we knew this was true, where we operated inside of that one mind. And so this change up that I want to talk about this morning is about changing up those thoughts that tell us that we are still apart from. To realize that every time we make that attempt to change our thinking, every time we make that attempt to see things differently, that's forgiveness. That's pure forgiveness. And that forgiveness wipes parts of this illusion that we have been designing. It wipes parts of that illusion away. So that then each healed perception releases more parts of that fragmented mind. Our mind, over time, this is what second step is talking about in recovery programs, and we are being restored to sanity. In this case, we are talking about a restoration to sanity, wherein we have decided that we want it, and then we are allowing that perfect part of us within to do that restoration. God cannot restore us to sanity without our cooperation. Will not. Let's just say it that way. Will not. Because God will not force His goodness upon us. It's already there. I mean, we already have it. It would be a greater shock than if I would have whacked that bowl at the end of the meditation without warning, right? Our mind is being brought back into its proper function every time we decide for forgiveness. The universe, what's going on right now is this entire creation. It's not even the universe that we are perceiving, because we're perceiving it incorrectly, but the real thing is compensating us at all times and in all ways. It's giving to us, always giving more opportunities for good. We do not see it because we have been thinking that there is not enough. We have been thinking that there's something lacking. And this is like the impetus to many of our days. We just go through the day trying to get that which we think is lacking. When all the time, what we really want and need is available to us right now. Shortage and scarcity are states of mind that do not exist in the abundance of creation. They're just states of mind. Look what we have done. We have proved it to ourselves. By even in the world that we have made, there is no shortage, there is no scarcity, there is no lack except that which we have manufactured. So we have kept our brothers and sisters as much as we can starving when there's no need for it. But again, I'm going to say that this is all the illusion that we have. There's plenty. There is plenty. Not only is there plenty, there's plenty for everyone. And still, if you really felt like you needed to be rich, you could be rich. And there is still plenty for everyone. Even in this crazy world that we have made, that is true. There is enough. There are enough resources. And so, as Marianne Williamson said to the man who questioned her about a loving God, she said, "How can it be possible?" He said to her, "How can it be possible? There's a loving God in this universe when people are starving." And Marianne said, people who are starving, that's more about our consciousness than God's consciousness. Because the abundance is provided, and we have decided not to share. And I am not talking about communism. I am talking about generosity, kindness, and compassion. There's plenty. Because this feeling of lack, it never ends. We want, we need. we continue to seek that which we think will fill this black hole of an ego. So what action can we take to make up for not accepting the prosperity? This would be the action that we take to make up for the prosperity. This would be what is called atonement. Us not accepting the prosperity is like, we can call it a sin in quotation marks, right? This is a sin. We're ignoring the abundance of God. We are saying no to the prosperity that's put right in front of us. So this is not a sin in which we should be punished, because that is the punishment. So the atonement for that is just to say, okay, let me change it up. Let me ask Spirit to show me what's really there. Ask Spirit for guidance. And in that asking for the guidance comes, and we move from lack to prosperity just by following through on it. Just do it. Generally speaking, we give what we have received. We give what we have received, and then more comes. This is just the action. This is just how it goes. This is the expression of that presence of God that is within us. To articulate the gratitude for what we have received by expressing the love of God to others, to those around us. To do it in all that we do, in our life of service that we have taken on. We think about this whole series that I've been doing. I didn't even tell you. I haven't even told you what's going on here. But every week, for the past 5 weeks, we have been talking about miracles. We have been talking about miracles and how those miracles manifest and how they work and what they are. And I've been doing my best to kind of obscure that in the midst of every one of the lessons while still saying it. I don't make it too easy. I don't know why. There's a miracle that is happening. A miracle. It's a change of mind. That's all. It's just such a simple thing. A miracle doesn't have to be healing from cancer, although that's part of miracles. A miracle is just changing the way we see things. Change it up. Those old spinning phrases that are running through our mind all the time, that old same approach that we take to problems because we think they're the same problems that we had yesterday. Let's change it up. The magnificent movement of creation through us is trying to communicate goodwill. We give voice to the common welfare as we speak only the truth. And this is let's just stop going along with this stuff. I had somebody come the other day at the Y, and they had, I won't even go into the whole story except to say that what they shared with me was actually just technically just ignorance of the situation. And I knew that ignorance grew out of a frame of mind of separation, that these people are different from us. These people are different from me. And of course, as he's telling me this, he is assuming that I'm with him in the us. And that I am, naturally, I would be against them in the they. Right? He's just assuming. But the problem was, what he said was not factually correct anyway. But the bigger problem was the attitude. But I knew immediately, as soon as I heard it, I recognized, I said, I have had that attitude. Not about this particular situation, but about others. Where I have decided that my point of view is correct. And of course, since that is true, you must be wrong. So I feel an affinity to him, even though what he is saying to me is repugnant. I feel an affinity, I feel empathy, because I know that I can get on that same train, but just going in a different direction. So I just didn't go along with the premise. That's all. I just said, oh no, you know what? I think in that particular situation, I didn't address the underlying. I just addressed the facts on the ground, as they say. I just addressed the facts. And then he just was quiet. He just was thinking about it. It was like, because I didn't attack his premise. I didn't attack where it was coming from, because those beliefs, strongly held, are very difficult. It's very threatening when people directly come at us about our belief system. It's just the same way within ourselves when we're doing this work. I am convinced that the only way to return to heaven, to that state that we once knew, is that we have to fool the ego. We have to trick it. We have to trick the ego into dropping its defenses for a moment, just that moment, so that we can slip through. And so I think it's the same with our beliefs. When our beliefs are erroneous and someone's trying to talk to us, they kind of have to trick us. They have to put the whamboozle on us in order for us to see something differently. I'm going to see how many times I can work that into the thing, right? The old whamboozle. But if we just give voice to the truth, every time we get a chance, just give voice to the truth quietly. That's so difficult for me because, man, I'm telling you, when I recognize that I'm thinking someone else is wrong, I want to be I get really loud about the whole thing. Quiet, non-threatening. To see the good in our brothers and sisters through any perceived negativity. To know that even they could be acting very badly, or I could just be very bad at interpreting how they're acting. It doesn't really matter. It just gets me upset. So let me quiet down. The love that we convey is a clear message of the only truth, that we are all one with life. All of our service, everything that we do, and if we think about, and this is the premise of what I'm going to be talking about from now on, all the time. I'm talking to myself, I'm talking to you. If we are involved in a life of service, even if we reject it, in order to heal, we have to come back to it. So our service provides help in the present moment, but then, and this is the thing, I was thinking about this last night, that this service that we provide, it goes forward. And when I say forward, you think of a straight line, but I'm saying it goes forward in a nonlinear way. It goes out. It goes out from us in a nonlinear way to add to all of our own good works. Every time we do something for the good, every time we do something with the good, it adds to all of the good. It combines into a new view of the world. Sometimes the results are readily apparent. There's an instant change. You can feel the love moving in the room. But sometimes the changes don't show themselves for a while. But just know this, every time that we participate in this miracle thinking, we set something in motion. We give voice, communicating love. We state the truth without equivocation. Don't water it down. Just say it. Just put it out there. And even if it's, sometimes Spirit will say it's not appropriate. It's not appropriate. Don't say anything. Just be quiet. Be quiet and send love. We will know this if we're listening. And in this way, we become an example. We become this example. By focusing on right thinking, we realize that the form is just the exterior image. It's projected from our inner condition. So the more we quiet down on the inside, the more others will be feeling that, even if they are not consciously aware of it. So it's a correction. A miracle is a correction. Okay, a miracle is a correction. It is changing a point of view from one to another. It's a higher view. We're looking for a higher view. We're trying to see. I remember somebody teaching me many years ago, when you see conflict, when you see war, and always, you know, you can always look to the Middle East to see war, but you can look to our own country and see this bubbling controversies just going on all the time. He says, when you notice them, see above the battlefield. See above the battlefield. To see, and what he was trying to tell me is that even, and this is all symbolic, says even if people are killed on the battlefield, if you look above, you see that spirit is rising. Now this is symbolic. It's not saying this is because the spirit is just always eternal, but it's a symbol, it's a focus to see above the battlefield and see that really above the battlefield everything is okay. But as long as we are fighting, we will be conflicted. I'm talking about us individually. And if we're conflicted individually, even if there are many others who are not conflicted, we will still be conflicted. So all the world could all of a sudden decide to have peace. But if we were not at peace, we would not see peace. We would see a conflict somewhere. We would see a controversy somewhere. We would see something to be upset about. So let's turn it around the other way. If we begin and we come to peace, we begin to see peace where before we didn't. So we want to correct it. We want to see from a better vantage point, namely the point of view that says, was this beautiful lesson in the Course in Miracles was talking about having a visualization that when you walk out the door, that life is loving you, that the plants themselves, the grass, the trees, loving you. And so if we can change this view to say, this is what I want to have this view that I am loving life, and that life is loving me. This changes the mood instantly. Just saying it, even if you're not sure, to just say it. I'm loving life. And life is loving me. Right now. Staying in the present moment. This is beautiful, and this goes along with the 10th step in the recovery program. To stay in the present moment, being aware of what's happening right now, we have the opportunity to change course in an instant. We can change course in an instant. Just think about this. We notice an errant thought. A thought we really don't want. We can stop right then. If we're paying attention, we can stop right then. And we can go back just a little bit and see, okay, where's the belief? What is the belief that caused me to think this thought? If we're paying attention, we can do this like right now. What is the belief? And then, when I see what that belief is, I can forgive that belief in the moment. I can say, you know, I keep thinking this, I do, it's part of my belief system, but it's not real. So I can tell, and by doing this, I'm working on it, right? But if I miss the opportunity, and the thought becomes an unwanted feeling, I stop at that point. I accept the feeling. I say, yes, I am feeling the feeling. And then go back. What was the thought? What was the thought? What was the belief? Then again, what happens if, unfortunately, I've acted badly in a reaction to the feeling? And it's only then that I catch it. We admit that we were wrong. In that moment, we admit that we were wrong, and then we examine the course that led to the incident, correcting as we go. And this is like so important. It's not just enough to say, oh, you know what, when I said that you were, whatever insult you can think of, when I said that, I was wrong. If I don't go back and figure out what I was feeling when I said it, and then try to know what was I thinking, and what do I believe about life, about myself, about other people, that had me start the whole thing off in the first place. If I don't do that, I will just be making apologies for the rest of my, I'll probably be making apologies anyway. But I can stop making so many by just doing this examination. So when this process then becomes a habit, what ends up happening is this erroneous belief system starts to unwind. It starts all knotted up, but it starts to unwind as we examine it and keep calling ourselves out on it and say, you know what, that belief just isn't true. I don't want to believe that way. And then we move closer and closer to the oneness that's at the core of our being. So I want to change it up. I want to change it all up. I want to recognize it every way. Every single person that I see is a part of God. And to realize it is the action of love that changes all sight to the contrary. As we salute our brothers and sisters, we extend the light of love. We allow this love to lead the way. Think about that. This love is at home in our hearts. This love that is in us is at home in our hearts. But it has work to do in the world. Think about it. Focus on it. Living in the light of God. The kingdom of God. Kingdom of God. They said to Jesus, where is this heaven? Where is it? And he said, do not find the kingdom of heaven by looking and saying, lo here or lo there. The kingdom of heaven is closer than hands and feet, closer than your breath. The kingdom of heaven is within you. It's not far off, both within us and all around us. So the very air, we can think about this, God goes with us wherever we go. So the very air around us is alive with the light of love. Always shining on us, shining from us and on us. Sometimes we may be tempted to think of our hearts as having a surface that in turn reflects the love of God back out into the world. It is instructive for us to examine this idea of reflection, and to realize when we look at the phenomena that occurs when the sunlight strikes the moon. We always were told that that when we see the moon, it's just the light of the sun bouncing off. So then when we just say we're going to reflect the light of God, we would say, oh, it's just bouncing off. But that's not really what happens. What happens is that the moon itself is interacting with the light of the sun. The particle, the dust, is interacting. It mixes with it. And then it sends out something more than what touched its surface. So think about it this way. This light of God, the light of love that comes to us, and when we send it back out, it has a little bit different quality than when it came in. It's part of us. That's a little bit of that, a little bit of this. Nothing.
I do. I find myself often thinking about stuff that maybe happened 30, 35 years ago. You know, it may sound kind of funny, but it's just like it's really real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's stuff that's already happened. You know, and I chalk it up maybe, you know, my ego's trying to get me to experience more shame and guilt. You know, and the way I confront it is just like, you know, tell myself it's not real, it doesn't exist anymore. You know, but it still doesn't stop it from continuing to happen. You know, and it's not recent events, like I said, it's real old events. Is, you know, does that make any sense?
Yes. So we've had some, we have some financial challenges right now. And so I found myself the other night daydreaming. Cause I can see clearly there were a number of mistakes made. And so I found myself daydreaming about going back and making different decisions. You know, if I would get at that point right there, if I would've made this different decision at that point. And then, but then I said, well, no, then should've before that. So I ended up going back. It never ends.
Right.
This regret cycle never ends if we allow it to go, because we can go all the way back. I go all the way back before I was born. And say, if these people would have done what they did. So it's just ridiculous. And the only answer to any of this is to say to the Holy Spirit, to say, what can I do right now? What can be done right now? Guide me in this. Let me come to a conclusion that is for the good of everyone involved, right? Let's do it now. So, hey, we're not still running over here, are we?
Mm-hmm.
We are?
Mm-hmm.
I might say something untoward.